It all makes perfect sense why tons of people all around the world believe that XRP is going to go to $10,000 per coin. Because when we discuss what Ripple is doing as a company, completely revolutionizing the new financial landscape globally, it's led to massive conspiracy theories out there that this has been planned all along, and accounts like Bearable Guy 123. And these riddles that have been posted over the past few years of these cartoons are deeply connected to key influential business leaders like Elon Musk, and not just XRP, but also XLM, that will play a part in the restructuring of global debt for a golden age of wonders. And this has led to massive price predictions out there for XRP, like $589 from The Simpsons, going all the way back to an episode from 1996, even tracing back to documents like this written by the National Security Agency the same year, and even Brad Garlinghouse saying some of the creators of the XRP ledger had been early developers of Bitcoin. So in this video, we have to discuss some of the major conspiracy theories out there about XRP. What is the secret tie that Brad Garlinghouse has between the Phoenix, a one world currency, and his ties early on in his career, working at AOL and Yahoo, going all the way back to developing the Phoenix before creating Ripple's logo that has been shown in The Simpsons, and what these secret connections have to do with what's coming later this year that is going to play a part in every single financial transaction globally. Plus what it would actually take logically in order for XRP to reach $10,000 per coin. And if that's even possible, or if it's all just a pipe dream and hogwash. So you guys are going to love this video. I believe by the end of it, you're going to find some of these connections too strange to just call a coincidence. So comment 777 if you're feeling blessed, if you're feeling bullish, and as always, if you're going to become the first millionaire in your family tree, confirm it by tapping the subscribe button. Let's run it. All right, bull runners, welcome back to the channel. So to kick this video off, we're giving away $100 worth of XRP. And if you want a shot at winning, it's super easy to enter in. All you need to do is go over to x.com and go to our profile, Bull Runners HQ, and like this post right here. There's only 66 people that have liked this post, so you actually have a pretty high chance of winning. I mean, how many viewers are watching this video right now? Not many people are following through with this, but as long as you like the post, you comment XRP on the post, and then you sign up for Blowfin using our affiliate link in the description below, then you'll be entered in to win, and we're going to announce the winners on our daily email newsletter this Sunday. And I'll also leave a link for that in the description below or above this video if you're watching it on X. And also everyone who subscribes to our daily newsletter gets our free ebook called Altcoin Secrets, the underground guidebook to become a crypto millionaire. The book's free. It should take you less than a day to read. It's practical and the strategies work. Inside you'll unlock the 23 secrets that the 1% know, just like I'm going to share with you guys in this video, that the average everyday person doesn't know, that separates the people that make millions of dollars in crypto from those that make nothing. So all you need to do, click the button on the page, enter your best email address so we know where to send the book, and we'll announce the winner this Sunday. And even if you don't win the XRP, our goal is to give you so much value out of this book that you create generational wealth with the skills that you develop. Plus, on the other side, you'll be able to learn about Altcoin Pro University as well too, and how you can get access to our research team to get early altcoin picks, live calls, pro technical analysis, you name it. This video right here will break it all down for you guys. But the purpose of this video right now is to expose the massive XRP price predictions out there as either truth or fiction, and talk about what comes next, not just for XRP, but the overall crypto market. Because if we lay up this fractal right here from November of 2013 until when XRP broke out in March of 2017, and we trace it up to where we're at on the chart right now, it's just a much more macro symmetrical triangle. And if we extend it up to see what the growth would look like for XRP from the current price right now at $2.20, depending on when you're watching this video, the price might be different, but to hit $10,000 from today's price point, that would be 444,000%, or a 4,400x for XRP to reach $10,000. So the largest argument that people have that say that that is not possible is because of the market cap and the circulating supply, because the current formula to get the market cap is if you take the price and you multiply it by the circulating supply. So if we take $2.20, we multiply that by 58.39 billion XRP in circulation, that's how we get a market cap of $128 billion. And so if we take $10,000 and we multiply that by the current circulating supply, XRP's market cap would be at roughly $583 trillion to hit $10,000. Now, if all the max supply was in circulation, that would be a market cap of $1 quadrillion, which is the number one argument that people use who say that it's not possible because of how much liquidity is actually out there. When we look at publicly traded companies in 2025, well, the total global equity market cap is $123.6 trillion for all the world's publicly traded companies. And there's over 6,000 firms contributing about 60 trillion of that in the United States. And we have 15 trillion from China, 15 trillion from the European Union. And then we see anywhere between 3 trillion and 5 trillion through other countries like India, Japan, UK, Canada, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, you name it. And when we stack that on top of all the world's money and market in one visualization from 2022, well, how this visualization works is 1 square equals $100 billion. So Sam Bankman-Fried at the peak of his net worth was around $22 billion, so a fraction of an entire square. And if we look at professional sports teams, the combined value of all North America's sports teams is around $340 billion. The NFL accounts for 42, then we have the NBA, the MLB, the National Hockey League, and the MLS. And then the cryptocurrency market, after hitting a peak of $2.82 trillion in 2021, currently the entire industry has a market cap of about 2.9, almost $3 trillion right now. Now you can see why there's a lot of skepticism around $10,000, because if the whole industry is just barely $3 trillion, how would XRP absorb over $580 trillion? And if we get further down the list, you can see Russia versus Ukraine GDP. The entire economy of Russia was 1.8 trillion. Global spending on military reached 2 trillion in 2021. Tangible currency out there, as many people around the world call it, money, is worth around 8 trillion. Gold had a market cap of around 11 trillion a few years ago. The world's top billionaires have a combined net worth of 12.7 trillion between Elon Musk, Bezos, Gates, Buffett, you name it. And there was over 2,600 billionaires. The market cap of the S&P 500, $36 trillion. US versus China GDP, 23 trillion versus 17 trillion. And then we're talking about the entire global money supply of M1 and M2 at 48 trillion, and then M2 at 82 trillion. And then the further down the list that we get into global debt at about 300 trillion. And obviously it's much larger than that right now. If you go to usdebtclock.org, the US is at 36 trillion, China's at 16, and then it goes further down the list, Japan's at 12. And according to Credit Suisse, all the global household wealth tallied to $463 trillion. And then the largest on the list is the notional value of derivatives, estimated to be around $600 trillion in 2021. So if all of the XRP was in circulation, it would need to be a larger market cap than the global derivatives market, reaching a staggering $1 quadrillion. So even the US national debt can't even hold a torch to 1 quadrillion, let alone the entire altcoin market cap sitting at only $1 trillion. So how on earth would it be possible for XRP to reach $10,000 if the current metric that's used right now to determine price is market cap and circulating supply? Well, this is where we have to think outside of the box, and we're going to get into that in this video. And we're going to talk about what it would take for XRP to reach $10,000 a coin without the market cap needing to hit over $500 trillion. So hang tight for that. But first, we need to talk about what's happening behind the scenes that is directly connected to these conspiracy theories out there and these riddles posted by insiders that have access to information that the 99% aren't privy to. And I'll prove it to you in a second. Now, if we go to ripple.com and we scroll down here, their transaction settlement time is 3 to 5 seconds. They have millions of custody wallets and 90% global FX market coverage. And they are already working with some of the largest companies and central banks in the world. So they definitely aren't a startup company here, guys. This company is one of the pioneers, like what Amazon was in the early .com bubble boom. So it's not a matter of if Ripple or XRP is going to change the world. It's by how much and what's possible for XRP, because with the global debt completely out of control, there needs to be a complete financial reset, and we are living in it right now. So to pre-frame what I'm about to dive into, I encourage you to keep an open mind here because it requires you to think outside of the box. And so a lot of the points that I'm about to discuss might not seem connected, but they're all related together. And if you can understand this one concept right here, then what I'm about to share with you throughout the course of this video is going to completely transform the way that you see everything in your life being connected together.
Imagine I have a beautiful tree that's filled with oranges. And I ask myself, what is the orange made of? How do I answer that question? Well, I want to look deeply inside the orange, so I magnify it. And I magnify it again, and if I keep on doing it, deep inside, sooner or later, I begin to see molecules come into view. But molecules are not the end of the story, because the molecules, I can enlarge them. And if I make them big enough deep inside, I begin to see atoms. Atoms are not the end of the story too, because we have electrons zooming around the nucleus. Deep inside, mostly empty space in the atom, but deep inside, we see the nucleus. So if I grab that and magnify it, I see that the nucleus is itself made of particles, neutrons and protons. And if I grab one of the neutrons and magnify it, I find yet further particles, little tiny quarks inside. Now that is where the conventional ideas stop. String theory comes along and suggests that inside these particles there is something else. So if I take a little quark and I magnify it, conventional idea says there's nothing inside, but string theory says I'll find a little tiny filament, a little filament of energy, a little string-like filament. And just like the string on a violin, I pluck it and it vibrates, creates a little musical note that I can hear. The little strings in string theory, when they vibrate, they don't produce musical notes, they produce the particles themselves. So a quark is nothing but a string vibrating in one pattern. An electron is nothing but a string vibrating in a different pattern. A neutrino, nothing but a string vibrating in a different pattern still. So if I take all of this back together, I have my ordinary orange, and if these ideas are right, they are speculative, but if they are right, deep inside the orange or any other piece of matter is nothing but a dancing, vibrating cosmic symphony of strings. That's the basic idea of string theory.
Now, this brings me to this video that I made about 3 weeks ago, talking about a rare event that's going to be happening that NASA is preparing for called the TCRB Corona Borealis explosion. And in this video that you can watch on the YouTube channel, if you just go check out Bull Runners, if you're watching this on Twitter, if you're watching this on YouTube, then you guys have probably already seen this video. But ever since this picture was posted right here, there have been tons of people in the XRP community talking about it and connecting the dots or strings together to see what the deeper meaning is. And in this image right here that was posted December of 2021, we can see the star exploding in the night sky with the night in the rocket heading to the moon. But right here, blocked by the windowsill, is a circle that was deliberately put there. Now, many are saying that this is TCRB that explodes roughly every 80 years, and this is actually on NASA's official website. And when we asked Grok when was the last time that T Corona Borealis TCRB exploded and what happened during those years, well, the most recent one was February 9th of 1946. And 2 years before the explosion was the establishment of the Bretton Woods Agreement, creating the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, pegging every single currency around the globe to the US dollar convertible to gold.
To be discussed are plans for the stabilization of world currencies. All agreements must be ratified by the governing bodies of the nations involved before becoming effective.
So this system stabilized global trade and finance post-World War II, marking a new era of international economic cooperation and dominance for the US dollar. And then in 1946, the US economy surged when the explosion took place, creating the entire middle-class consumer economy.
Most of the men who went away to war returned by the millions sooner than most people had expected. Separation centers worked overtime, processing 750,000 men each month. The GI Bill, with its financial and educational benefits, gave millions of veterans a chance to advance into the middle class.
And the time before then was in 1866. This was also after a war. This war was the Civil War, leading to a shift from wartime to peacetime economies with significant government borrowing and inflation. And the National Banking Act of 1863 to 1865 reshaped the entire US financial system, creating a national currency and banking structure which laid the foundation for modern US finance. And astronomers over the past few years have noticed signs of an impending outburst, similar to behaviors noticed back in 1946 when TCRB entered a pre-eruption dip in brightness, a phase seen about a year before the 1946 explosion. Now you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with XRP and why are we talking about astrology and space here? Well, hang tight, this gets very interesting. Because the next outburst is expected with a peak likelihood in late 2025 to early 2026. And if we ask Grok the best guess given the 80-year cycle, Grok estimates TCRB to erupt around June to September of 2025. Now what's interesting here is this picture with what looks like TCRB exploding in the night skies taking place around Christmas time, I would guess, with the Christmas tree and the stockings above the fireplace and a mistletoe on the top hat of the bear. So will that be around the same time that Ripple explodes to the moon? As you can see, the night, which has been decoded as Brad Garlinghouse in the rocket ship, taking off. So I thought that was interesting. Also, there's a few other things to note in this photo. For example, the mallet right here with the triskelion symbol on it, that's Ripple's logo. Also, the color of these stockings right here, green, purple, and yellow, which is the same color of the sails in another image that was posted a year prior. Also, Christmas Eve of 2022 is the same color of the bells right here of green, purple, yellow. And it's also the color of the road right here leading to the castle, green, purple, and yellow, with the flags up top showing the US dollar, XRP in purple, and Bitcoin in green. Now, here's one thing that I found interesting. When Stellar announced their new logo, their old logo used to have a rocket ship in it. And they said if the logo can't be a cartoon rocket ship, it could at least harken to Stellar's more playful space exploratory days. But also in the future, when, not if, Stellar is a global monetary standard, the logo will need to work in line so you can type it in a sentence like you would the symbol for the dollar, the euro, the pound, the yen. So the new logo should come prepared. In their initial mock-ups was a simple circle with a slash through it at different angles to seem friendly, planetary, coin-like as well too. And then they finally came up with the final logo right here with 2 dashes through it, saying it's got a hint of Saturn in there. Now you guys know the elite like to make a lot of references to Saturn, so I don't think that's a coincidence there either. But if we scroll down here, we can see the color palette that they came out with. Now, do you guys notice anything here? I just find it interesting how each of these riddled images have the same colors of yellow, purple, and green in almost every single one of them. And it's the exact same color palette as Stellar with yellow, purple, green. The only color in here that isn't necessarily part of the riddles is orange, which is up to your guys' interpretation of what that could be for. But as you guys already know, it's been confirmed that Stellar's founder, Jed McCaleb, also owns Vast, a space company. This company just so happens to be partnered with Elon Musk's SpaceX. And we also know Elon has ties to both Stripe and PayPal, as he was initial founder of it, and Stripe through an investment he made. In regards to PayPal, they acquired a company called Curve, and it's a cloud-based digital asset solution. But what's the most interesting about this is here's how they're used by Franklin Templeton for custody, because as we already know, Stellar and Franklin Templeton have had a long-standing partnership for tokenizing real-world assets. And as we can see in this article right here, it explicitly mentions both Stellar and Curve used by Franklin Templeton in the same line. But with regards to Stripe, as we had mentioned, Elon invested in them. And funny enough, Stripe then continues this chain through investing into Stellar Network. And as we already know, these Stellar and Stripe ties also greatly strengthened through the result of the Meridian 2024 event, confirming that Stripe was working to integrate Stellar to further expand both payment ecosystems. On top of this, Stripe is also the primary payment rails for X to pay its creators, a very minor detail, but one that might be worth noting down the line, especially given how Elon Musk has joined X with payments to essentially make it a everything app in the future. Not to mention, when you look at the similarities between the new Grok logo and Stellar's logo, it's pretty much the exact same thing. Now here's where it gets really weird, and this is where these conspiracy theories have popped up. Well, Elon Musk has been known to change his Twitter username multiple times. Right now it's Elon Musk, and his banner says Grok to understand. So if we just go to Grok and we say, what does Grok mean? Well, it's a term coined by Robert A. Heinlein in his sci-fi novel called Stranger in a Strange Land, meaning to deeply understand something or someone. And if we just go to the gematria calculator and we type in stranger in a strange land, would you guess what comes up? XRP gold standard, astronomy, and also XRP 10,000 a coin. What are the coincidences of that? Also, it says buy crypto suckers. Now, when I get into the Simpsons in a little bit, you'll see the connection there. Now, if you guys remember this, Elon Musk changed his account name to Kekius Maximus a while ago, which was his username in a famous video game that he plays. But what's even weirder is if we take the name Kekius Maximus and we enter it in on the gematria calculator here, it comes up as back to the future, meaning of numbers, level playing field, twin flame meeting, XRP the Storm, the Wizard of Oz, You Are Chosen, Exit the Matrix. And as you guys know, Elon Musk is a level 100 troll. He posts some of the most ridiculous stuff out there. Like this post, he said, looking to hire a VP of witchcraft and propaganda. So as we get further down the rabbit hole, we need to talk about what Grok, Stranger in a Strange Land, XRP 10,000 a coin, and the phrase buy crypto suckers all has to do with the Great American Super Cycle, a golden age of wonders in the US national debt, and Ripple XRP. Well, if you guys have been paying attention to the crypto space for a while, you guys know that this picture went viral out there all over social media, saying XRP to hit $589 by the end of the year, where people were saying there was a Simpson episode showing this, and Brad Garlinghouse had been following 589 people for a long time. But I later debunked that because that was not what the Simpsons was telling us. That was a fake photo. In fact, what the Simpsons have actually been telling us goes all the way back before Bitcoin was ever even created, because in this episode here, March 2nd of 1997, we can see Homer and Marge walking by the crypto bar, and this as a place for codes, secret codes, hidden codes, and come to find out there was a video game released after that episode featuring the crypto barn in there that said deciphering secret government plans. So it's very obvious that the elite of the world are hiding riddles in plain sight years before they ever tell us what they're actually doing. Because why in 1997 did they release an episode with crypto in it, but yet Bitcoin was first launched in January of 2009, about 12 years later? Well, it brings me to this document right here, How to Make a Mint, the Cryptography of Anonymous Electronic Cash. This was written in 1996 by the National Security Agency, referencing a guy by the name of Tatsuaki Okamoto, almost like they just moved some letters around, then just came up with Satoshi Nakamoto right after that. And what's crazy is this guy's a renowned mathematician and cryptographer who made significant contributions to cryptography and information security, such as a method to construct secure and efficient public key encryption schemes, which is a standard in modern encryption protocols adopted by organizations like ISO and Cryptrek. Also, his research includes blind signatures, zero knowledge proofs, and protocols for electronic money and voting, which laid the groundwork and the foundation for secure digital transactions. His work on hash functions and attribute-based encryption also aligns with blockchain technology foundations. Now, this led a lot of people to speculate that he's the true creator of Bitcoin due to his expertise in cryptography, but he's neither confirmed or denied this. But here's where this is very interesting, because when Bitcoin came out, years after the Simpsons episode aired featuring the crypto barn, well, people don't realize this because it slipped through the cracks, but listen to what Brad Garlinghouse said in this interview.
Ripple did not actually issue XRP. The XRP ledger is an open source, decentralized technology, not dissimilar than Bitcoin. And some of the creators of the XRP ledger actually had been early engineers that worked on Bitcoin, and they saw some of the scalability problems that Bitcoin is likely to have, the speed, both from an energy consumption, cost, some of the other problems, and they wanted to build a better digital asset to solve some of these problems.
So not only did Brad confirm that early developers of Bitcoin created the XRP ledger, but if we look up the word crypto barn from The Simpsons, it comes up as astrology, Phoenix coin, no coincidences, and even Triskelion, which is the exact same logo in the Bearable Guy 123's image right here on the hammer is the Triskelion logo, which is why I had you watch that string theory video so you can understand how everything is connected through frequencies and vibrations. And so I truly do believe that there's no coincidences here. Look at this. In 1991, a Bitcoin logo appeared in a video game and Ripple Communications was founded. And in 1992, a movie called Sneakers had a scene featuring criminals hacking the Federal Reserve transfer node, and it displayed XRP as the international telelink access with NSA agents involved in the plot. Now here's where this gets really interesting that you might not know. In 1998, you've seen this right here on The Economist, where it says get ready for a world currency with a circle with a dash through it, similar to Stellar XLM's logo, showing a phoenix standing on a pile of burning cash. Now here's an interesting thing considering we're talking about gematria, but if we enter in the phoenix here, it comes up as the same number as Simpsons, also as metacortex, which I'll get into in a little bit, decoding the matrix. But here's a major thing that a lot of people miss. They don't know that Brad Garlinghouse used to work from 2003 to 2008 as the senior vice president at Yahoo, where he ran its homepage. And then after Yahoo, he then went on to become the president of consumer applications at AOL from 2009 to 2011. And then he joined Ripple as the COO in April of 2015, then becoming the CEO and having Chris Larsen be the co-founder by December of 2016. And in September of 2009, this came out by CNBC. And listen to the segment that directly comes after the announcement about Brad Garlinghouse's position.
And AOL has hired former Yahoo executive Brad Garlinghouse to run the company's email group and beef up its presence in Silicon Valley. Garlinghouse might be best known for calling attention to major problems at Yahoo in a 2006 internal memo. That paper was referred to as the Peanut Butter Manifesto because it claimed the company had spread itself too thin. Since then, Yahoo has changed CEOs twice. Since leaving Yahoo last year, Garlinghouse has been an advisor at private equity firm Silver Lake Partners. And coming up, is it time to ditch the dollar? The United Nations calls for a new global currency. So could this herald the biggest overhaul of the world's monetary system since World War II?
So why would that segment come right after talking about Brad Garlinghouse right there? Well, it's because of what they're planning right here. A lot of people haven't seen this yet, but when Brad worked for AOL, listen very closely to what he says about the Phoenix.
We invited a bunch of media in from across really the tech industry, as well as some key partners, to talk about what a different company AOL is today. And instead of doing the standard kind of walking people through a PowerPoint deck, we decided to tell our story on whiteboards. And so I thought I'd show you some of the cool stuff the team did. One of the things we started by doing is talking about how different AOL today is as a company. And one of the best kind of tangible examples of that is how our brand has changed, how the logo of the company has changed. And so some of the designers here in Palo Alto built a mural just with various funny items, what's going on, kind of inside jokes occasionally, and then we obviously put the AOL brand on top of it. But we use this as kind of a metaphor in talking with the press and partners about how different AOL is and how much the brand has changed. The brand also has huge brand recognition. And so we talked about how we are investing in the brand. And one of the key things, and we did the kind of White House, we're walking. One of the things we did to talk about that is how the brand of any company is really at the heart, and it's a reflection of the products they build. And the products you build are a reflection of the people you employ. And we know that great was spelled wrong. And really, great people are a reflection of a great culture. And so we talked about how we've thought about as a company investing in building a better culture, investing in our people, and that ends up building better products, and that'll reflect over the brand. That takes time, obviously, but it's something we're starting to see more and more of the pixels we launch as a company that are more a reflection of the new AOL, no matter what your tenure here has been, really a new reflection of where we're going as a company. So we used the balance of this. We talked about how other turnarounds in the Valley have happened. We used Apple as an example, and certainly it is a profound example. This is the cover story of Businessweek in February of 1996, and how dramatically Apple had turned around really by focusing on building better products. I was a Mac user of a PowerBook 5300C in 1995. It's one of the ones that actually was catching on fire. And so it was near and dear to my heart to see the change has gone to Apple. They're building bad products, and their brand reflected that. And I think you're starting to see AOL ship a lot of great products, and I think our brand will catch up with that as we go. We continued down our tour and showed people a little bit of what we've done here in Palo Alto to create a much more open environment. No offices, low cube walls, that has created, I think, a lot of collaboration. We showed them some of the stuff. We're hosting a lot of Stanford students here, and just showed them some of the environment that we're doing, that we've made here, that I think also contributes to a much more collaborative and hopefully innovative environment. We then walked them through kind of an interesting thing, a timeline of what has happened in the Applications and Commerce Group since we split from Time Warner back in December of 2009, and it kind of walked them through some major events as we went. Obviously, a big thing that happened in this group is we sold ICQ, created a lot of cash on the balance sheet we were very obviously able to use for other things. We launched some apps with the iPad, a couple of key hires. And we also talked about how we're already starting to see some of the core product improvements reflect improvements in metrics. So not just sizzle, but also the steak. So one of the things that some of you are aware, we've done a couple of iterations in launching m.aol.com, our smartphone portal, and we've seen traffic to the smartphone portal increase by over 100%, 110% in the past 10 months. So again, it's just kind of proof that if you build better products, you'll see kind of that the consumers react to that. So then talked about kind of some major changes, moving into the Palo Alto office, the Thing Labs, Brisley joining the team here, our work on Phoenix, which continues to be in kind of alpha/beta.
Our work on Phoenix, which continues to be in kind of alpha/beta.
So to pause this right here, what was he referencing when he said our work on Phoenix, which is in alpha/beta testing mode? Right next to this teddy bear right here, Brisley, is this why Bearable Guy 123 put a phoenix right here next to the knight in front of the castle that says persevere on it, with the bear, the king, Bitcoin, XRP, US dollar flag. On top of that, the Economist saying get ready for a world currency with a phoenix standing on top of a pile of burning cash. Well, are you guys starting to see the bigger picture here? If not, consider this. In 1988, David Schwartz filed a patent remarkably similar to distributed ledger technology, and he was also a contractor for the NSA. So the same year that The Economist put puts a phoenix on its front cover. And we have Brad Garlinghouse, now the CEO of Ripple, saying that he was working on the phoenix. Bearable Guy 123 putting a phoenix on the castle. And David Schwartz, the same year that the phoenix came out, filing a patent. So it's all connected, guys. This document right here about how to make a mint, the cryptography of anonymous electronic cash, written by the NSA. Well, the chief technology officer of Ripple worked for the NSA. Fast forward to 1996. Oh, and it just so happens the NSA invented SHA 256, the very foundation of Bitcoin security, and nobody knows who the creator of Bitcoin is. So the most common sense theory here is that Ripple's upper C-level team created Bitcoin as a proof of concept before launching the XRP ledger. So if you hold XRP, here's what's interesting about this. In 1996, the same year that that document came out from the NSA, well, in the movie The Matrix, Neo worked for a software company called Metacortex as a computer programmer, while secretly harboring the desire to learn the truth about the Matrix and his role in it. And not only does the X in Metacortex closely resemble XRP, it's not 100% the same. As you guys know, the truth is hidden in plain sight with some minor modifications, which is why Grok's logo is not the exact same as Stellar's XLM logo. They're not going to make it that obvious for you, but they're going to plant little Easter eggs and little clues here that are all part of the script, because all the world's a stage. In Hollywood, every single piece of a movie is scripted. Actors have to memorize the script. The props are all scripted. Even the words on the props are scripted. So why would they choose the name Metacortex? Well, could it be that they're aware of gematria and they're either telling us this right in front of our eyes, or they're trying to cast spells into the universe to be able to create a reality that they want to create to manipulate matter and atoms? Well, if I click on the word Metacortex here, would you guess what comes up? Well, the first thing underneath it is Ripple XRP. Then we have XRP Ripple, a god humiliates the cabal, B redeeming the humans, of Christ being humble, rare birth of time, also comes up as Simpsons, and the Phoenix. So I just find that all too weird to just call a coincidence here. Unless you guys have another explanation. I mean, Brad Garlinghouse working for AOL and Yahoo, and now the CEO of one of the largest cryptocurrency companies in the world. Something feels fishy about this whole thing. Now here's the connection to the Simpsons and the $589 XRP prediction. It actually was not a price prediction. It's actually a subtle nod to gematria. Because if we look up the number 589, guess what comes up? Donald Trump. Sure enough, Donald Trump is the crypto president. He's bullish on Bitcoin. He created a strategic XRP, Solana, ADA, the digital asset stockpile. Look at what else it comes up with. Thomas Anderson. Now, Thomas Anderson is the name of Neo in the Matrix. Why would they choose that name? Well, it's because the number is 589. Also, ISO XRP, Ripple the Bull. A storm is coming. And if you watch this video that I made 2 months ago talking about The Simpsons season 33 episode 2, where we have these cartoon characters sitting at a stone bench right here, where we can see the Triskelion logo on the bench. Listen to what this little pyramid here with the eye says at the start. Now, why would it say that? That just seems something random to throw in the script of the cartoon, right? Well, sure enough, if we type in buy crypto suckers on Gematria Calculator, it comes up as stranger in a strange land, the meaning behind Grok, XRP, 10,000 a coin. And these spirals right here from the Triskelion that I showed you guys at the beginning of this video is what the bearable guy is showing on the mallet right here. Plus, one thing that I found interesting here is we have a web weaving spider right here, which is the same type of spider in the thumbnail image of the Grateful Dead's Ripple music video, which is actually pretty interesting because how Ripple got their website, ripple.com, was from a Grateful Dead fan. Listen to this.
And then we also were lucky enough to be able to acquire the URL for Ripple, which is kind of a funny story. It came from a Grateful Dead super fan. It's related to the song Ripple from the Grateful Dead. We always loved the Grateful Dead.
From public reporting that you were at the most recent Dead & Company show. How was the show? Did you like it?
Oh, it was terrific. What can I say? So it was great. I've been a Grateful Dead fan for 50 years. So.
Well, I've found one universal truth that I like people who like the Grateful Dead.
It's related to the song Ripple from the Grateful Dead. We always loved the Grateful Dead.
So what is it about the Grateful Dead that they're hinting at here? And why do they say I found one universal truth? I like people who like the Grateful Dead. Well, if we go to the Gematria Calculator, we type in Grateful Dead, it comes up as the exact same number in Jewish Gematria as Triskelion. Also, it comes up as the standard And the concept of Ripple's logo is broken down in this video right here, talking about the triskelion.
So it's symbolized by phi, this Greek symbol. But the golden ratio is math A plus B over B, when it equals A over B is what? Well, it's about 1.61809897. If you pull out those geometric differences in those circles, you end up with these Fibonacci sequences. Organized a different way, you start to see network structure where you've got hubs and you've got less important hubs in a network. And so out of that, we create a logo called the triskelion, which is our Ripple logo. But it really does come out of that mathematic principle of the golden ratio.
So it's based on sacred geometry, math, numbers, which is exactly how the gematria calculator works, because it takes every letter of a phrase and gives it a number. And whether you realize it or not, everything is connected. And so QAnon posted this back in 2017 saying, nothing is random. Everything has a meaning. And so there's symbolism everywhere. And if you want to think that cartoons don't have symbolism in it, tell that to Disney, tell that to Nickelodeon, tell that to Cartoon Network, tell that to every single major company that has ever produced cartoons to influence the youth. You think as an adult you're any different? So we have about 8 months until Christmas, but less than 4 months until the Federal Reserve is shifting over to the ISO standard in a single day implementation on July 14th, 2025. On top of that, on swift.com, it talks about what the ISO standard is right here, but to simplify it for you, when banks exchange financial information, the ISO 222 standard is going to help overcome the barriers associated with message flows so banks can better communicate with each other to make global payments. So this is going to enable intermediaries, beneficiaries to increase automation and transaction processing, reducing costly manual interventions, improving the visibility on cash flow and cash positions, basically making everything easier and more cost-effective for banks. And back in 2018, Swift decided to adopt this messaging standard for cross-border payments and reporting. And in March of 2023, it marked the start of the migration with what they call a coexistence period with MT messages. And so think of this like a grace period for what the Federal Reserve is posting about for their FedWire Fund service here, where on July 14th of 2025, they're gonna sunset this existing format and messaging standard with the ISO 222 messaging standard. In major reserve currencies like the US dollar, the euro, the British pound, the Australian dollar, they're also adopting ISO 222. And so the coexistence period is scheduled to end on the 22nd of November, 2025. And they're saying right here on their website that the use of ISO 222 cross-border instructions is necessary to enable end-to-end interoperability. What word has Brad Garlinghouse used over and over and over again?
By the way, it's not just Ripple. When we think about interoperability, we think about interoperability between many blockchains. And so does that mean we're all going to have these different coins? And does that mean like we're back to where we are, where there's lack of interoperability? So like, what? I don't get it. Now, what about the interoperability between these coins?
And on Ripple's website right here, they're saying tokenized assets are expected to reach 19 trillion by 2033. From real estate to lending to credit, tokenization has redesigned the infrastructure layer that global financial institutions depend on, promising a financial system that's programmable, interoperable, always on, and broadly accessible. And this is going to be possible through the ISO standard. So could it be just a coincidence that the number 589 on the gematria calculator comes up as ISO XRP and also has the president Donald Trump on it that is making all this possible by putting people in the right positions that are favorable for crypto? And also, what are the odds that NASA is preparing for TCRB to explode around the same time that all of this is happening in one of the biggest transformations in history for banking globally? And what's the odds that the number one company in the crypto industry that's making all this possible is Ripple? So this leaves the final question in this video. How could XRP hit $10,000 without the market cap needing to go over $500 trillion? Because as connected as all of these theories are, and as fun as it is to speculate on cartoons and riddles here, we need to get practical, because to get to $10,000 based on the current metrics that measures a cryptocurrency, well, that's taking the price multiplied by the circulating supply to get the market cap. So taking $10,000, multiplying that by the current circulating supply would be $582 trillion market cap. So number one, there would need to be a significant reduction in circulating supply via token burning, and the current supply would need to be reduced by about 50 billion or less. And currently XRP's burn rate is pretty slow for that to happen, because even with 5 trillion in daily transactions, burning 8.2 billion XRP would take years. For example, if each transaction moves $1,000, then 5 trillion requires 5 billion transactions daily, burning 50,000 XRP per day. This would take 449 years. So even with higher fees or larger transaction volume, burning enough tokens quickly isn't practical unless Ripple comes out and decides to do it. Burning everything that they have in escrow, because they hold about 40% in escrow, around 40 billion tokens. So a coordinated burn of, let's say, 10 to 20 billion tokens would reduce the supply to about 38 to 48 billion. But still, that would require the market cap of $380 to $480 trillion. And Ripple has no incentive to burn such a large portion of its holdings because it would diminish its control and revenue potential because they sell some of that XRP every time it's released from escrow. Another method would be through token locking or staking mechanisms, so fewer are available for trading, which could potentially drive up the price without inflating the market cap proportionally. So this is what's led a lot of people to talk about SWIFT or banks locking billions of XRP for liquidity reserves rather than using Nostro or Vostro accounts, and pricing retail out of the market to buy up their XRP. And if XRP were to become a global bridge currency, banks would need to hold large amounts to facilitate transactions, reducing market availability. And with Ripple's partnerships with banks like Bank of America, MasterCard, other central banks across the globe, it could support this, but locking 20 billion XRP, which is 34% of the supply, would require unprecedented adoption, and that takes time. That's not going to happen in just 1 year. And locked tokens can still count towards market cap unless permanently burned or removed. And this leads us to theory number 3, which is decoupling price from market cap via utility-driven valuation and adoption. Because the number one argument on one side is that the market cap would be too large for that to be possible, but the argument on the other side is that market cap doesn't matter because XRP is a utility token where price is driven by transaction volume rather than speculative trading. So how it works is a unique concept, so listen to this. XRP's value could be tied to its role of moving trillions of dollars in cross-border payments. For example, SWIFT has 5 trillion in daily volume, and if XRP captures a significant share of that, its price could reflect the value it facilitates, not just speculative demand. For example, if XRP processes 5 trillion daily with a 6-second transaction time or less, the average value in transit is 5 trillion divided by 86,400 seconds times 6 seconds is about 348 million. So if the demand requires 1% of XRP's supply, which is about 580 million XRP to be held for liquidity, and banks set a fixed price of, let's say, $10,000, like the IMF has agreed on a price that you guys have heard in previous videos, well, to ensure stability, the price could rise without all tokens being valued at that level simultaneously. So this would require XRP to become a global reserve asset, and maybe that's what Brad was referring to with the Phoenix. They just renamed it as the XRP. With governments or banks buying XRP at a premium, decoupled from retail market dynamics, and if XRP replaces SWIFT, the sheer volume of transactions could drive demand. So the challenge is that market cap still reflects the total supply unless tokens are burned or locked permanently. And setting a $10,000 price artificially would require global coordination amongst banks, governments, Ripple, which is politically and logistically implausible right now. And additionally, if retail investors sell at $10,000, I mean, what would stop you from selling your XRP at that price? Of course, you'd want to go and you'd want to buy a new house, you'd want to buy some land, you'd want to cash it out, right? Well, the influx of 30 billion XRP being sold could crash the price unless absorbed by unlimited institutional buying. Another scenario might be hyperinflation of fiat currencies. So if the US dollar undergoes extreme hyperinflation, it's not that XRP is going up in value, it's that the dollar is going down in value, causing XRP just to be worth more. For example, if $1 today equals $0.0001 in the future dollars, then a 10,000 price would equal to $1 in today's value with a market cap of $58 billion. However, this assumes a collapse of global fiat systems. So Charlie Munger said that the safest assumption is that the dollar is going to zero. And while that's most likely going to happen, we don't know if it's going to happen this year or if it's going to take another 10 years or 20 years to play out, leading people to talk about the government purchasing Ripple's escrow in exchange for treasury bills, setting a high floor price. And if only the escrowed XRP is valued at $10,000, the circulating supplies market cap would remain lower. And if XRP tokenizes trillions in assets like real estates, derivatives, then its price could rise due to the demand for the underlying asset. However, this doesn't reduce the market cap unless the supply is slashed. And so the scenario of XRP going to $10,000 is theoretically possible, but under extreme circumstances. So while a lot of people out there are hoping, they're dreaming, they're wishing for XRP to surge to, $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, the smartest approach for yourself is to develop skills to help you make money regardless of what happens for XRP. Because yes, it'd be cool if that were to happen, but if you develop skills that make you more money on the front end, then that just allows you to put more money into crypto and buy cryptocurrencies like XRP, and even diversify into other cryptocurrencies like Stellar's XLM at 27 cents. If you want to get some Chainlink, if you want to get some SUI, if you want to get even Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever other cryptocurrencies you guys want to accumulate, my message for you is this: do not plan for XRP to go to $10,000 within your lifetime. If it happens, awesome. The number one thing that you should be focusing on, putting all of your mental energy in, is how can you back up your truck to the bank, grab the bags, pack them and stack them, leave no bags left behind, and accumulate as much as possible before we see the next leg up in the market. Because when you think that way, that's how you set yourself up for success. And that's why we created Altcoin Secrets. That's why we created Altcoin Pro, to teach you guys the skills that the 1% know that separates them from the 99%. And so if you guys want to learn those skills and you want to have a shot at winning $100 worth of XRP, that could be worth tens of thousands of dollars within our lifetime if XRP goes to $10,000. But if it doesn't, then at least you'll have the skills to pay the bills. Well, all you need to do is like this post on Twitter right here, follow our account at BullRunnersHQ so you can see the post, and then just comment XRP on the post and sign up for Blowfin using our affiliate link. You can trade XRP on the exchange and other crypto assets as well too. And then the winner is going to be announced on our daily email newsletter this Sunday. So to get on the newsletter, you just click the link below. It'll take you to a page that looks like this, where you also get the book for free. Just click yes, grab my free secrets now, put in your best email address so we know where to send the book. And as soon as you click the button, you'll be subscribed and you'll receive daily value-based videos like this right to your inbox to stay in the know of what's going on in the crypto space. Plus, if you got value out of this video, I know you're going to absolutely love what you learn inside of Altcoin Pro. So if you want to get access to our research team and receive over 100 plus expert curated classes that talk about everything that you need to know inside of crypto, plus have the ability to share and become a partner with us to earn 20% monthly passive recurring commissions for every customer that you refer, then all you need to do is click the link in the description below, get started right now, and I look forward to seeing you on the other side. As always, I appreciate you guys for watching this video. Give it a like, share it with a friend if you got some value, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you on the next one. You know what to do. Stay bullish.